they did such a masterful job of losing guys and then immediately replacing those guys. So, for example, Cameron Sutton signed with the Lions. What do? They signed Patrick Peterson from the Vikings. Now, I know he's 33. It's a 2-year contract. He's not in his prime. It's still a very good addition. Then they lose Devin Bush to Seattle. What happens? They draft Joey Porter Jr., drafted 32 overall out of Penn State, double D. I know you love that pick. They signed a Landon Roberts, won 2 Super Bowls with the Patriots. Cole Holcomb from here in D.C. So every single time they lost a pivotal player on that defense, they found someone else to come in or multiple guys to come in and mitigate those losses. And that's why the Steelers will have a top 10 defense this season. I think, honestly, that's going to be their game plan moving forward, right? Play stingy defense, be smart on offense, and let Kenny Pickett use his weapons.
Right. And again, I think that speaks to the franchise and how they have a good organization top to bottom. It's similar to teams like the Ravens where they just get that added, credit just for the team that they have been over the last couple of decades or so. So when they make moves, you say to yourself, okay, these are probably the right moves. They have earned their credit where credit is due when we're talking about these type of things. I don't know how you play the Steelers, though. Like, we're talking about bets that we like.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I really like. Like you said, I would take the over 8.5 wins, but it's minus 150. So I don't know if I'd be willing to lay that, especially since Kenny Pickett's had some trouble with concussions too. Like, I know everybody talks about Tua having trouble with concussions. Kenny Pickett's been hurt too. So I'm not sure if he plays the entire season. I think a lot of that was due to the offensive line being bad. But still, anytime you have a quarterback that has injury concerns, that's something. And then your backups, Mitch Trubisky and Tanner Morgan. So I don't know what we're going to get from those guys if they have to be the starters. So at minus 150, I do not like it. I think for me, betting the Steelers would be a weekly basis thing, like against the spread. They're probably not going to get enough credit in the market. People say, oh, this team's terrible. Kenny Pickett's not a good quarterback. But like you said, this is a team that gets by on stingy defense and kind of blackening up I don't know why I said that. The black and blue division, you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
They're beating up their opponents. So I think that's what we'll see in a game-by-game basis. I will take them on the spread as opposed to any season-long bets. So what's your read on these lines for the Steelers?
I think they're right on target. I think this is a 9-win team this year, and I think that's going to be difficult to make the playoffs in the AFC because of how stacked the AFC is. You're going to probably need 10 wins to be a wild card in the AFC unless things break a little differently than most of us expect. So, yeah, I would expect the over. You mentioned it's juiced heavily at 8.5. That they are looked at as a 9-8 kind of team, but plus 128, plus 135 in some spots I've seen to make the playoffs means everybody kind of sits right along those lines. This team is going to need Kenny Pickett to do more than just grow. They're going to need him to be exactly what he was in late December, early January, but they're going to need him to be that consistently for 17 weeks in order for them to do more than just win 9 games, in order for them to be a playoff team. And the thing I keep pointing out to people as well is Kenny Pickett's not even the biggest part of this offense if this team wants to do what their goal is this year, if they want to accomplish what their goal is this year. It's Najee Harris. Najee Harris had a terrible first half of the season last year, in large part due to the fact that he was injured. Mike Tomlin put him out there in the preseason on a busted foot, and it caused him to go into the regular season a step slow. The offensive line didn't help him much either. That has improved. Harris is healthy. This is a first-round draft pick spent on a running back, and it's got to start to pay off this year, especially if Najee Harris wants that 5th-year option picked up next spring. I do expect him to have a much better year. I expect him to look like the guy we saw in the second half last year. I expect Kenny Pickett to look like the guy we saw in the second half last year. But that doesn't change the fact that for the Pittsburgh Steelers, this season is still all about the defense. It's about getting the most out of Cam Hayward in his final few years, getting the most out of TJ Watt, because when he doesn't play, the Steelers lose football games. 1-6 last year without him in the lineup. It's about Minkah Fitzpatrick creating turnovers on the back end. Especially if they've got stronger play at inside linebacker where he doesn't have to come crashing down into the box all the time. So it's about the defense. It's about not turning the football over on the other side, which is enough to get you 9 wins in this day and age in the NFL. But to be honest, guys, I think we all agree that's not going to win you a championship. That's not going to get you deep into the playoffs, which is why the Steelers are looked at exactly as they are. A 9-win team who's a dog to make the playoffs. They may improve in several regards, but nobody in today's NFL goes very far if you're going to go defense and run game first anymore. You just aren't.
But Jenks, as you read this article, did you feel like it was starting to not be as an intense article as you thought? Because I saw the headlines and I was like, uh-oh, somebody said something bad about Eric Bieniemy, but it wasn't really the case. Like, what was the most harsh word that you saw in this article? What was it? Quote, a little concerned? Like, I don't know if that warrants, like, anybody to be upset about a new offensive coordinator, because if you see the quotes from guys that will actually go on the record, like Jahan Dotson said good things about him. Antonio Gibson had some good things to say as well about Eric Bieniemy. Like, they said that he was tough, but they also said it was necessary. So you see the headline, you thought maybe there's some drama brewing. I feel like there's not that much drama surrounding the new ways. It's just, adjusting to a new style of an offensive coordinator.
Absolutely. And I think it was Jahan Dotson who said, yeah, he'll be hard on you, but he'll also give you your flowers when you perform, when you get it done, because he wants to get it done the right way. And also, I think that one thing, I don't say it was buried in the article, but Ron Rivera told the players, listen, you can go talk to Eric anytime. You can sit and ask him what he demands of you, what his expectations are. And Eric Bieniemy himself reiterated that and said, yeah, my door is always open. I want these guys to come to me and we can talk about my expectations. So I think you're right in that, look, anytime you have a new head coach, anytime you have a new coordinator, especially the young guys coming from college, they're not accustomed to things being a certain way. And they think, whoa, this is different. And so I think they were going to Ron Rivera, since he's been here longer, and saying, hey, is everything cool? Is everything all right? And the coach is saying, look, he has a very intense way of doing things because he has high standards, and you can go talk to him about it, and it's not that big of a deal. So I'm with you. At the end of the day, this is just about changing a culture. And here in D.C., if we're being honest, there has not been a culture of winning for a long time. This is part of instilling that.
Right. And Matt brought this up in the chat. Tyreek Hill defended him on Twitter. A former player, obviously, of Eric Bieniemy's. He said, there's no other coach that has your back like EB. Take that coaching and get better. It's tough, but I promise it will make you better. So when you get those type of endorsements from former players, especially the superstar ones, I think that speaks volumes about Eric Bieniemy.
When we're talking about your heart, Lucy, I am sure that it hurts your heart a little bit when all these haters, clowns, and bozos try to snap back at you on X or Twitter or whatever, and now is your chance to clap back in return because you had a great night, right?
Yeah, I have a message and some good news for the haters, clowns, and bozos for today. You can take the day off today, haters, because I swept all 4 of my bets last night. So for the first time in a bit. So I'm very excited about that. Thank you very much. I am very pumped about that. So hopefully we can keep the streak going. But to all the people saying I was ice cold, the temperature is rising here. And it's like a Sean Paul situation where the temperature is whatever. Forget the lyrics of that song. But so I think I could probably sing it if I thought about it, but the heat is on, and it's Santana, it's a hot one. So that's what it is. Very smooth nights. So all the haters can just shut up about it.
Oh my God. I'm looking at these lyrics to Temperature by Sean Paul. I don't think this is English. Oh my goodness. Yeah. These lyrics are something else.
I think the word temperature is the only one I remember, and it's in the chorus. That's all I remember.
Nailed it. Nailed it. Those are
the lyrics.
Is there one athlete that you look at and you say, this athlete, regardless of sport, maybe doesn't get the credit that he or she deserves?
Oh, I'm going to make you squirm, Jenks, because you know who this sounds exactly like? You, Michael Jenkins, who always says, I'm just a dumb guy, a baseball moron, the voice of the Donkster. When I have to constantly remind people that this man has won 9 Emmys, he has won Edward R. Murrow Awards, which are the top award in all of journalism. So, Jenks, This is you to a T, and I don't care if it makes you mad.
It makes me squirm in my skin, Chelsea. Thank you,
True.
Double D. There you go. Just play the Texas fight song. Chelsea, I'm just a boy from Texas trying to make my way in the big city. Those awards don't mean nothing unless you're a good teammate, you're in the locker room, and you're my teammate. So I tell you something, you talk about those awards being my awards, they're our awards. You hear me? They're the team's awards. They don't put the Super Bowl MVP trophy along with the Super Bowl Lombardi trophy and say, hey, those are yours, Patrick Mahomes. No, that belongs to the whole team. Okay.
And this is why Michael Jenkins is the best teammate ever. That's my teammate.